Access to Democracy is made possible by donations from the following organizations. Thomson Reuters, a global company with expertise and insight to unravel complex situations in the areas of law, tax, compliance, government, and media. Their worldwide network of journalists and editors keep customers up to speed on relevant global events. Thomson Reuters, the answer company. The division championship Minnesota Twins are looking to go all the way to the World Series in 2024. Bolstered by inspirational shortstop Carlos Correa, a healthy Brian Buxton, and rookie phenom Royce Lewis, plus a pitching staff led by Pablo Lopez and an outstanding bullpen featuring Johan Duran, the Twins are the best bargain in the major leagues, and Target Field is the best venue in baseball. Sheridan Dulas & Kins, PA, a family and criminal defense law firm, has been serving clients in Dakota County and throughout Minnesota for over 40 years. Ranked a Tier 1 Best Law Firm by U.S. News and World Report every year since 2009, Sheridan Dulas & Kins are here to help you in your most difficult life circumstances. Established in 2007, 45th Parallel Spirits was among the first 50 micro-distilleries in the United States. Based in New Richmond, Wisconsin, all aspects of production occur at our facility. If you're interested in visiting and learning more about the 45th Parallel Distillery, please check our website and plan a visit to tour our facility and taste our spirits. Truestone Financial, with locations in Minnesota and Wisconsin, has proudly served its members since 1939. Truestone engages, educates, and supports its members to ensure they have the tools to empower their financial well-being. Truestone Financial, your neighborhood credit union. Learn more at truestone.org.
This is Access to Democracy. I'm your host, Bill Raker. Thank you for joining us. We're going to start off our program today a little bit differently. We're going to play a short video that introduces the subject that we're going to be talking about. You know, as a public affairs program, we try to bring topics into the program that are relevant to the communities. We try to find guests who bring interesting and informative perspectives and stories, and you're going to hear some of that in today's program. Let's get to the introduction video, and we'll pick it up from there. So our guest to talk with us about Flint Hills Resources is Geoff Glasrud, who is the Vice President and General Manager of the production side of Flint Hills Resources. Geoff, welcome to Access to Democracy.
Well, thanks for having me. Been looking forward to this all week.
Oh, no kidding. Well, we'll try to make it as much fun as we can.
Absolutely.
And thanks for providing the video, which gave a nice overview, drone shots of the Flint Hills Resources facility, which we're going to talk about. But before we get into that, tell our viewers a little bit about yourself, Geoff,
Sure.
and maybe the history that you have with Flint Hills Resources or Coke refineries or Coke companies.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, so, and thanks for having me on the show. I mean, this will be fantastic, I think. For me, let's start with me personally.
Yeah.
I'm actually local, meaning I grew up between Hastings and Cottage Grove. So Hastings is a near neighbor to the refinery. And in fact, from the back door of our farm, you could see the outline of the facility. Now, it was across the river, so I really didn't know much about it back in my growing up days.
Yeah.
But I could see it, you know, so I grew up locally, graduated from Hastings High, went to University of Minnesota, chemical engineering, and graduated. Again, I didn't know much about the facility at the time, so I searched elsewhere, actually. and I landed in Chicago doing research for refining. I had done research as an undergrad, and I thought, well, I'm going to continue that. So I spent a few years in Chicago doing research for Amoco Oil, and then moved to Mandan, North Dakota, where Amoco had a small refinery. I spent a few years there doing daily support, engineering type of stuff. And then I had the opportunity to come to Pine Bend. And that was 1995 that I came here. So I just celebrated 30 years of service with Flint Hills Resources, actually.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, honestly, when I look back, it's been a fantastic company. I've had such wonderful experiences with the company, and the talent is second to none.
And you did mention Pine Bend. I know for some of our viewers, they're going to recognize the name Pine Bend because that's what it went by before it was Flint Hills Resources.
Yep.
So I'm glad that you brought that up. Well, Flint Hills Resources is a really pretty big deal here in this community, Geoff. Tell us what makes it such an important part of the community.
Well, let me start with maybe an overview of Flint Hills Resources overall. We're a refining company. So we have locations mainly in the Midwest and Texas. In Texas, we have 2 refineries. I actually spent 3 years in Corpus Christi, Texas, where those refineries are at, on the leadership team there. And then pipeline systems for crude and products in Texas. And then Minnesota in the Midwest, we have the refinery, which has been here quite a while. I'll come back to that. And then a pipeline system and products. So we get our crude mainly from Canada and North Dakota. And that's pipelined in. Our pipelines start in Clearbrook, Minnesota, and deliver crude to us. We refine it into products, mainly fuels. I'm talking about gasoline, diesel, jet fuel, asphalt.
Tell us the quantities that you're dealing with here.
So we're a 375,000 barrel a day refinery.
375,000 barrels a day.
42 gallons in a barrel, so do the math.
And you run 24/7.
24/7, 365. It's impressive. So we fuel the Midwest. Majority of the gasoline for Minnesota, and diesel for that matter, for Minnesota comes from that plant. And we fuel and supply into Wisconsin and Iowa. So it is fueling the Midwest. But other products too, propane, butane, some fertilizer, but also asphalt.
Okay.
And we make a lot of asphalt. You might not know this, but we're the U.S. single largest supplier. We're somewhere in the order of 10 to 12% of the entire nation's supply. So we ship asphalt
right
coast
here in
to coast.
Dakota County.
Right here in Dakota County. You got it.
And don't forget jet fuel.
85% or so, vast majority of the jet fuel for MSP.
There's a direct pipeline from your refinery right over to the airport MSP, right?
Absolutely. It sounds like you're very educated.
Well, I've studied up a little bit on what Flint Hills Resources does, Geoff. Yeah. So it sounds like there's very little waste product in what comes out of what goes into the refining process.
Absolutely, absolutely. Maybe 2 things to think about there. I mean, 1, crude is not cheap, right? And 2, we're a commodity business. Gasoline and diesel are commodities. So making every bit of that crude oil barrel useful is extremely valuable for us.
Well, that makes for an efficient operations that you have there, right?
Absolutely. In fact, you're hitting a great point because full is efficient. I think economies of scale in any business. If you can run full with everything, all your equipment utilized, full and level in straight lines, efficient in all regards, cost, energy, resources, everything.
And while you're talking about running the production full tilt, so to speak, this might be an opportunity to tell us about what's going on over there right now that maybe takes your production down a little bit with the turnaround, you call it?
Sure. So one of the entire plant's key focus areas right now is turnaround. So your viewers might be wondering, well, what is turnaround? And I think of turnaround as large-scale maintenance. Okay, so as you already said, we run 24/7, 365, and we have a lot of equipment, and it's complex operations, and equipment, as everyone knows, degrades over time and it needs maintenance. So in this case, turnaround, large-scale maintenance. But let me hit on difference, because we have maintenance every day. And the plant runs every day, and parts of the plant or pieces of equipment can come offline for work, but not everything. There are common pieces of equipment that need not just a slowdown, but an entire outage for sections of the refinery. So think of it maybe a car analogy, where minor maintenance might be topping off the fluids or putting air in your tires. You could do that. Lots of flexibility to do that. Not very complex. As compared with, at some point, you need to do an engine overhaul. Yeah. Okay, so now the car is not available, out of pocket to you for days or weeks. And so that is the equivalent of a turnaround. But to give you scale, so this is a very large turnaround for us. We have 1,000 employees at the plant.
1,000?
1,000 employees. They will all be gainfully employed, focused on turnaround, and this maintenance activity will be over, say, the next 35 to 40 days. So significant, 24/7 on the maintenance as well. But it's not just the 1,000 FHR employees. We need more help. So we turn to local trades and across the nation for contractors, and we will have on the order of 3,000 contractors helping us every day for the next 35 to 40 days.
And so how many work hours does that translate into?
Yeah.
Wow.
Very impressive. 750,000 labor hours.
Amazing.
It is amazing.
I bet the people that drive by this production plant every day have no idea what is going on in there and how important it is to our economy, to our community. Wow.
That's why I'm here.
That's right. Yes.
But you're right. I mean, so the turnaround piece, and I don't think people will know a lot's going on, except for I will talk about, we have, if you're driving by Highway 52 next to Flint Hills Resources Pine Bend Refinery, you will see a massive crane out front. You'll see many cranes, but there is one in particular that's at the very front of our plant. That's the largest in the entire Midwest. Wow. And it's there to help our turnaround. In fact, Vic's Crane and Heavy Haul, who's just down the road from us, great partnership for decades, by the way, is doing that work for us. Brand new crane for them. It's a 1,200 ton crane, right? So the thing weighs 3 million pounds. It can lift 2.4 million pounds.
And so you have pieces of equipment that approach that weight that need to be moved around?
Our heaviest, this time around, our heaviest is like 320,000 pounds. So not insignificant.
No.
Well within the capability of that crane.
That's impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I mean, we did build it on site, right? So Vic's did. Yeah. 75 trucks had to haul
to bring in the parts to put it together.
To build it. Yeah.
That's one big Lego set.
You got it. That's it.
So, with all of this stuff that's going on there, Geoff, at Flint Hills Resources, I know there's a conscious effort to be eco-friendly and community-friendly and energy-friendly. Usually, a lot of energy there, don't you?
Yeah. Well, yeah. A couple things spring to mind when you say that. Try to be, or whatever. I would say for us, this goes to our company culture, spirit of our people, is our vision, which is to be the most competitive refining business in all of North America. We want to be the best. And when you think about that, though, I want to be very clear. When we say competitive, by the way, many people think dollars and cents and margin, all that, which is true. I mean, we're in business. But that's not everything. So when we say competitive means anything that can significantly differentiate yourself from competitors, right? So for us, other refineries. So financially, yes, but Stewardship.
Right.
So we talk about stewardship, and when we mean stewardship, we're talking about safety of our people, safety of the contractors, safety of the community, minimizing environmental impact to the community, and the community itself. Right? We have a footprint. We consume natural resources just like every citizen or every other company, and we need to be responsible every day with that.
So one of the things that fits into this process that you just described is the solar farm, the solar project that you have there. Tell us, we had a guest, Jake from Flint Hills Resources, some months ago, who talked a little bit about that solar farm and had a video of it. But tell us what's happened with that and what kind of impact does that have on the efficiency of how you run your operation?
Absolutely. So yeah, to give a little bit more background in history, and we've been working on this for many years, but started it up here a year and a half ago or so. But solar farm, or more specifically, what we did is installed over 120,000 solar panels across 350 acres of our property that is adjacent to the plant, and then we wired that power directly into the plant. So you think about when you receive power from Excel to your home, it goes through a meter first and then to the home. So for us, same thing. We wired the solar in behind the meter is what we say. So it's directly to the plant, which then, so we don't consume or demand as much from the grid because of that. And to give you, what does 120,000 panels deliver? It delivers 45 megawatts of peak energy. Right, so 45 megawatts is massive. Our entire demand for the plant is on the order of 130 megawatts. So it's significant. Now, of course, solar is peaks for a few hours, delivers power for many hours, but not 24 hours. Right, so it is cyclic. But it certainly has offset cost for us, but it also helps the whole region out because we're taking load off of the grid.
Well, there's something unique about that, is that this project is one of the biggest where you generate your own solar power and feed it directly into your operations, right?
That is correct. As far as we know, the largest of its kind in the nation.
There are so many unique and impressive things about Flint Hills Resources and what you folks do there. And when you do something, you don't do it on a small scale. 150,000 panels, you said?
120,000.
120,000. Now, about how many acres would that cover?
350 acres.
350 acres of solar panels.
Yeah, it is impressive. Anyone who's coming in by plane, look down at the plant as you're coming by. It's very impressive. It's something, yes, it's offsetting costs, but just the achievement of that is something to be so proud of for the site.
So you talked about the number of acres this solar farm covers. How much acreage does the production plant itself entail?
Yeah, great question. So 350 acres for solar. The plant proper, where all the equipment is 1,000 acres. So significant. But we do own 5,000 acres in total in the region. There's several hundred acres on the bluffs that we own, and a barge dock there. And then much of the rest is farmland that we lease out.
We talked about the importance of you being a good corporate citizen in the community. And another way that Flint Hills Resources connects with the communities that surround it is through something called the Community Advisory Council.
Yes.
Geoff, tell us maybe the history of that and what role that plays with interfacing between Flint Hills Resources and the communities represented.
Absolutely, yeah. Very, very important organization to us. And it's an independent organization. I'll start with that. Maybe let's step back and go back to the initiation. So I talked about us and our desire to be the most competitive, financial stewardship. But there were times in the past where we weren't as good of performers from a stewardship perspective, and frankly, we were not meeting the community or local officials or state officials' expectations. That's not where we want to be. And so we worked together with local folks, officials, to design a path forward, and that path forward was the Community Advisory Council. Again, an independent council, had a facilitator. The mission of that council is two-way dialogue, transparency, for Flint Hills to be transparent of our operations and what we do every day so that the community or representatives from the community can have insight and give us feedback. And we can also get feedback on, well, what's most important and what are the expectations of the community upon our operation.
Well, again, another impressive attribute of Flint Hills Resources. And I think I've heard that this advisory council is one of the longest running types of organizations around the country.
As far as we know, we're the longest running. And frankly, you know, I talked about we weren't necessarily meeting expectations, and I'm talking way back. This is the late 90s that we're talking about. And in cooperation with CAC and a whole bunch of other work that went on, we improved rapidly. There was a high sense of urgency, right? And we delivered, and arguably we could have ended that CAC process somewhere probably between 2005 and 2010. But we found so much value in that transparency and that dialogue that we just kept going. And it's still running today. It's a fantastic, fantastic group. In fact, the engagement has been just outstanding.
Glad to hear that. So tell us a little bit about some of the organizations that you work with or that you support that, you know, have positive impacts on the communities. One of them I can think about is Friends of the Mississippi River. So as an example, tell us about some of the ways Flint Hills Resources and your employees are involved in supporting the environment.
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple things. I'll start with Friends of the Mississippi, right? So I mentioned a few minutes ago that we've got several hundred acres of land that is literally along the Mississippi bluffs. Pristine area, but how's it become pristine? We partner with Friends of the Mississippi to help guide us, and they come and help, and volunteers from the community as well as our own employees come, and we ensure that it stays pristine by doing things like removing invasive species, buckthorn or other things like that. You know, so that's one good example. We have a lot of community partners. It's sort of fun because, you know, let me name a few. I think along the conservation side, Ducks Unlimited, decades of partnership with Ducks Unlimited.
You mentioned ducks. How about the zoo?
The zoo is also right there. Great partnership with the zoo and supporting things like the Minnesota Zooms Challenge.
Yeah.
It's a design challenge that engages students in conservation efforts. Another one that's a little bit different than conservation, but a really good one is Ordway. So we partner with the Ordway in something called the Flint Hills Family Festival. It's actually coming up, by the way. Mark your calendars, everyone. May 30th and 31st. And it's really award-winning program of art and festival type of thing where shows and talent from around the world come and present at Rice Park area in the Ordway. It's fantastic.
So is this open to the
public to
right?
come?
Yeah. And so if they want to find out more details about it, where would they go?
Well, they can go right to the Ordway website or type in Flint Hills Family Festival and you're going to find it. Yeah. And then some other partners as well. I mean, like I said, we have many partners. We do training, support local. We're into public safety, as you might imagine. So we have training facilities for actually local law and fire. So that's been a pleasure and an honor, honestly, to help support. But we also do some other things. Environmental Initiative is an organization here locally that is aimed at improving the environment. And so we've partnered with them on things like that overlap, so emissions from vehicles. There's two key projects, Project Green Fleet and Project Car. And if you go Google those, you'll find environmental initiative. And it's retrofitting emissions controls, especially for older vehicles. And if you think about it a little bit, older vehicles, less efficient, more emissions compared with brand new vehicles, much lower emissions. So very leveraged.
Well, there's a lot to talk about, Geoff, and we're coming close to the end of our program. But one of the things I think the public notices from time to time is flaring, what you call flaring. Now, there's a really good reason why they would see that.
Sure, yeah. Not very often, though.
Not
Let me
very
start
often,
with that.
That's true.
So flaring, it's a safety device, right? So, we talked about producing fuels, refining crude into fuels. Fuels, flammable, combustible. We have processes that under high pressure and high temperature. If something goes awry, we have fail-safes everywhere. Many, many layers of protection for safety. One of those layers is to relieve pressure on the system. And that pressure is relieved into the flare system and it is burned off. So it's a controlled burn is what it is. And you'll see it, we have 4 flare stacks that have a small pilot on every one of them constantly. And should the need arise, which should be really only minutes a year, not continuous, but should the need arise, we send the gas to that pilot and it flares off and you will see a flame at that point.
Well, it's good to know that it's a safety feature that you use.
First and foremost.
And it's also good to know that you rarely have to use it.
That's very comforting, yes.
Geoff, we have about a minute and a half left on this very fascinating program that you brought to us today. Any final thoughts that you'd like to share with our viewers?
Oh, well, yeah, I'll say maybe 2 things. One, I mean, you heard us say many times here about transparency and the value that we put on the community. So we do want to hear. And you can reach out. Maybe 2 things to think about for people that are interested. One would be tours. We do tours on a routine basis. So if you go to, and again, go to your favorite search engine and type in Flint Hills Resources Pine Bend and you'll come to our website, and within the website you'll find a place to put your name in for a tour, which is, and those are fun too. It's amazing to bring people in and show them what we do, and of course, I'm very proud of what we do. So it is fun to share that, and it gives perspective for our operation. And then of course they can give feedback. So that's one way. Another way would be the CAC. So if, again, go to your search engine and type in Flint Hills CAC and you can sign up. You can become a member. It's a rotating every 3 years and you can have 2 terms. So there are people constantly coming on and off. By the way, we've had over 100 people.
Served through the years,
through the years on the CAC.
It is a volunteer type of engagement that you have
correct.
with the community.
Yeah.
So we have contact information that is scrolling across the screen as
Very
we
good.
conducted the
Very
interview,
good.
Geoff. So our viewers will know how to get in touch with you. Thank you, Geoff Glasrud, for being our guest today and telling us about Flint Hills Resources.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Thanks for watching Access to Democracy.